Oops, wrong song. Well, that's awkward. Greetings, everyone. What's happening? What's going on? I played the short version of my intro, and there you go. Let me change this. Voila. Let's see what I got going on here. Let me see what I got. Let's see. Got poetic art in the house. What's happening? Hope everything is going well for you at work. I know you said you were working, so hope that's working out for you. Be safe. Please be safe. Hey, Lonzo, how are you? Welcome, welcome. DJ Music, DJ Moss, just DeAndre, how are you? What's good? What's happening with you people? Hope you guys are being safe out there for this happy Friday. It's the first of the month. You know, people got a little money in their pocket. They're a little antsy. They want to come out and play. The weather is not that bad, but seriously, we should be practicing the safe distance. We really need to do that. We really do need to do that. So please be careful out there. I know that's right. I know that's right. Let me put your comment up here. That's right. Right. You got to stay free. All right. And other than that, I want to thank you all for tuning in. I do appreciate you all so much. You marinating? All right. You do that. Tonight, our show is about manipulation. I received a letter from a guy. I love my letters from my guys. I must tell you. Um, I do appreciate to hear what they have to ask. It'd be interesting sometimes. I'm just so happy. But the letter I received from this gentleman, he wanted to know about why his lady is acting the way she is when he doesn't do what he wanted to do, or he forgets to do something. So that's what we're going to be talking about. Now, with that, I'm going to tell you the audio for that video is low. So I'm going to work with it. I'm going to do the best I can. I really am. I hope it works out. But I pretty much just told you what it's about. But it's sometimes it's just good to hear what the letter actually read because you all may read something into it that you have a different take, and I would like to hear that. I always like to hear that. So I'm going to play that. So let me pull that up, and we're going to do the best I can. Like I said, the audio is low, but I'm going to work it. Okay, here it goes. I have a letter here that is from a young man, and I'm ready to get right on into it. The letter reads: I am in a 3-year relationship with my girlfriend, and things have been cool for the most part until she starts tripping when she gets mad at me. Last week, she got mad and bleached all my clothes. Usually, she would throw my phone and crack it, or throw away my food when she gets mad at something that I didn't do or won't do for her. I buy good quality clothes that fit me well and cost me some bread. I'm thinking about leaving after this last stunt. Tell me what's up with y'all tripping out like this. And always a gentleman, they keep it brief. I'm telling you, I love my letters from my guys. I just really do. So, like I mentioned before, the audio is not that great on it. So, I wanted to go ahead and try to play it through my mic and was hoping that you guys can hear it. But again, just to repeat what the letter is about, the guy was in a relationship with a woman for 3 years. He said it was pretty good. He didn't have any complaints. However, when she gets angry, that's the issue that he has. She gets angry and she'll do things like throw away his food. Sometimes you guys have a specific, food left over or just whatever you like. She would do that. She would throw it away. And then she ended up bleaching the man's clothes. So he's considering leaving her. And he wanted my take on that. But what I like to do is give a round of applause for our classic Ruby, everyone.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Y'all are too gracious. Thank you, thank you. Well,
Greetings and
good evening, and of course TGIF. Um, so
yes,
my apologies for being a bit tardy today. So I only came
no
in towards the
problem.
end of the video. So I did catch the recap though, so that's good.
No problem. I actually came in a little early. I wanted to get started just a tad bit early because I was expecting a few extra people, and I just wanted to get a little early, but I didn't. I'm sorry. That's all I could do is apologize for that. But
It's
you're
alright.
good. You're good. But you did catch everything. Is that correct?
Yeah, basically, if and correct me if I'm wrong. So he likes this woman, relationships going good, except for the fact that when she gets angry at stuff, she acts like a crazy person, bleaches his clothes, probably cuts stuff up, does insane things when she's angry.
Correct.
Okay,
They've been together for 3 years, and now he's thinking about leaving her.
right. Um, man,
And before you get started, again, welcome everyone that's in the chat room. If I haven't greeted you, welcome. Also, I put the link in the chat room if you want to join the conversation and give your take on this. And that is it. I think, yeah, that's it. Go ahead.
okay. So here's my thing. Here's my thing. Um, the problem actually, this is the thing. The problem doesn't sound like a them problem. right? The problem sounds like a her problem. So, she doesn't have good coping skills, right? No one trained her properly in childhood how to deal with, her massive anger issues. And in adulthood, she hasn't taken it upon herself to figure those things out. So, sounds like it's something that, and I don't like to push ultimatums unless you mean them. So if he really means like, nah, he can't do this anymore, then he's got to give her an ultimatum, which is get help or I'm gone. You know, because if everything else is hitting on all cylinders, if everything else is perfect, if you're trying to say, listen, without this, if this chick just dealt with her anger normally, I would have married her. Oh, she perfect. We perfect. It's just the way that she has this really terrible thing, then I would probably give her the opportunity and say, listen, like, this is really serious. I know you're going to say, I'm sorry, I won't do it again, and blah blah blah, but I'm going to say, I don't think this is necessarily your fault. I think it's a problem, and if you're an adult and you care about this relationship and being with me, then you're going to be willing to take that accountability to go and get the help you need, so that way we can deal with our anger properly together, and go forward together, raise families and stuff. You can't be doing stuff like that, trying to raise kids and then afterwards having grandkids. This is how you react when you're angry, so that would be my take.
Yeah. What I told him, what I mentioned, because I looked at it as something that he needed to do because one thing, a person will continue to do the same thing over and over again if you allow them to.
Mhm.
So I mentioned to him about the reward and punishment scenario. People just keep doing the same thing if there's no punishment.
Mhm.
So I said, this is not something that just happened a few times to you. Now, since you're considering not seeing her anymore, if if that's what you want to do, okay, go ahead. But I know how it is being a couple, and you like, okay, she tripping, I'm gonna let her go or whatever. I'm gonna let that go. But you should make her pay for those clothes.
Mm.
I'm like,
Mhm.
mm-mm, do not allow her to get away with that because you're gonna keep replacing everything that she destroys, and it's been going on for a while.
Mm.
So don't allow that. And let's see what she does. Let's just see. Let's see if she decides, well, I'm not going to pay for the clothes. And okay, well, if you're thinking about leaving her alone, go ahead, pull away and see what happens.
Mhm.
And that's something I mentioned to her. I
Yeah.
mean, him.
Mhm. Yeah.
And
This
these
is
are
when I
some
have
things people do. Now, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say this is one I have sympathy for. Because I had massive anger management issues. Like I was so angry and I would lose my shit. Like see red, like even in grade school, over what other people saw as like the littlest things. To the point where like they called in, I went to a white school, mind you, but they called in like a counselor and all kinds of stuff to the school, especially for me, right? They sent these people to my house and stuff because they swore something must have been happening to me, right? My parents must have been abusing me, something. Um, they blamed on the fact my parents were separated because I went to a school where everyone's parents were together. They were trying to blame it on a bunch of stuff, but no, I did not. I had anger management issues, and it had to do less with being angry and more to do with how I responded to getting my feelings hurt, right? So I was very, very, very sensitive, right? Most people are not as sensitive as I am. And being a crybaby, you get made fun of. So if you made me feel sad, you made me feel like my feelings were hurt, I had a really overreaction to it. It was like you were doing it on purpose. You did it to make me feel like a clown. You did it to shame me. You did it to, like it's like all of the things that went through my mind in that snap moment. I wasn't reacting to like the anger was a cover up, because crying is weak. Anger is strong. and I didn't know
Mm.
how to deal. So it's like I actually really needed help. It wasn't something that I could just control because I wasn't trying to lose my shit. I wanted to be calm, cool, and collected like other people. I just couldn't. And so that's why I guess I'm putting myself on this one a little bit, putting myself in there. Did I ever go and bleach people's clothes and cut? No, because by the time I got to the place where I was in relationships, this had been ongoing for so long, and I had parents and schools and stuff that had their eyes open, were paying attention. So I'd actually gotten help. And I was learning how not to overreact. I was still overreacting internally, right? I would have a massive reaction. It just wasn't outward, right? Like the littlest thing hurt my feelings. I would cut you off. You'd be dead to me. And you don't even know what you did. You thought it was just a cute little ribbing, cute little friend joke. And I took it as you were trying to shame me, to humiliate me. Like you could, I walk into the room, you go, Ruby Doobs. And now, right, you're trying to do that as like a friendly thing, right? But it hurt my feelings because I thought you were trying to make me look like a clown because I came in and I was trying to look sexy that day and you try to make me just sound like one of the dudes. And so you're trying to shame me. And that would be something that internally I would be like crazy angry, crazy hurt. And I would react big to it. It's just like, I learned a different kind of big reaction. It took me a really long time to be able to verbalize my feelings and to say, I'm going to be quiet at first, not do anything, and let you know you really hurt my feelings, and not look at myself as being weak for admitting that you hurt my feelings. You know what I mean? So that's why I said, like, if everything else is good, she's a good woman otherwise, it's a good relationship otherwise, you know, uh, I'm not saying you should continue to deal with it because you should not. I actually love Char's idea that regardless, she owes you a back charge of, I don't know, a few $1,000s. Yeah, that should be on her tab. Um, but I do think that you should give her that ultimatum. Because if you care, then she needs help. It's the only way that she's going to be able to change that thing and start being able to kind of be better, especially if you want her to be better because she's great for you otherwise. So that's my tangent for the day.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and it can run deep, as far as whatever these emotional problems are.
Mhm.
Um, and what concerned me is he said if she doesn't do some, I mean, if he doesn't do something that he was supposed to do, or if he just decide he disagrees with her, he doesn't want to. And I'm like, that kind of reminds me of that manipulation, and give me what I want. I'm gonna clown. I'm gonna throw a hissy fit and all that kind of stuff. That's just ridiculous. I had a
Mhm.
situation myself dating this guy, and he just act to me. I just call it acting like a woman. I don't like all that. All that. I'm like, what the hell is what's wrong with you? And I'm looking at this man because this is coming from a man. I'm not used to anything like that. Just to get your way,
Mhm.
just complaining, and I'm like, so that didn't last too long. I don't care. I couldn't do it. I could not do that relationship that long. That was too much for me.
Mhm.
And then I had another relationship. I actually asked the guy, why are you so upset and doing all of this? And it was just so cool. He answered the question. He said, because you won't do what I want you to do. And I'm like, wow, he knows what he's doing then. If
Mhm.
you're going to answer that way, then you know what you're doing. But I didn't think of it at that time. I went on to the next thing, which my next question, which was, so you think being angry and yelling and all that is going to make me do something different?
Mm.
And that made him stop to think like, yeah, it doesn't seem to work on you, does it, huh? He didn't say that, but that's the reality that he came to. You're like, wait a minute. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense.
Mhm.
I'm like, if someone doesn't want to do something, all this trying to manipulate someone, what's all that about? And I know this exists. I know
Mhm.
this exists. But for me personally, I have to stop it right there. I'm not able to deal with that. I have to
Right.
walk away. I don't
Mhm.
like that. You have freedom of choice. I mean, if it's slavery, I got it. You didn't have too many choices at different times. But this is a different day in a relationship. If
Mhm.
I want to do something or I do not want to do something, that is my choice. Now,
Mhm.
you can disagree with that. You may not like it. We can discuss it. But once it get to throwing hissy fits, arguments, rolling on the floor, tantrums and all that, now it's just too much. I'm gonna take this away since you ain't gonna give me that. Then I'm gonna take this away from you. What is this? What? I'm a child now?
Oh Lord.
What's all this about? So these things, I can't handle that. I
Men
look at
rolling
them
on the
like you need
floor,
some
Sean.
help.
You see?
Not even rolling on the floor. That's too much. I'm just looking at you like I'm wondering how you can get you some help because you need
Mhm.
some.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
You
Oh
actually
yeah.
need some help. Something that's wrong. If someone says no or I don't want to do that, I don't think that's a good idea for me because we're talking about an individual person. Now, if it's for the family, and even if it's for the family, I can go ahead and go to that too. How it's going to affect the family. Okay, now we need to discuss it. It's just not you and me. But these are the situations that I had. It was you and me. And to see a man act like that, I get it with the girl. So I'm gonna go back to the letter, and I'm gonna go back to what I want to say. I get it with a woman because we have the emotions. I get that, but for a man to do it, you know how unattractive that is.
Yeah.
I
No, that's what I was gonna
can
say.
you?
There's a double standard, man. There's a double standard. We have to be honest. Like, there's certain things I could tolerate seeing from a woman or being around a woman and she does certain things. I could tolerate it from a woman. I could overlook it, or I could give her chance after chance. But a man, I can't. I can't because I would lose that I would stop looking at you like you're a man. I would lose that respect for you. You know what I mean? If you were a man, why like whining, right? I don't really like people who whine in general. But I could with a woman, I could just be like, man, get out of that mood. And I could when she gets out of that mood, I'm fine with her again. But a man who whines, every time he whines at me, it like knocks him down a few pegs. You know what I mean? That he can just never recover because it's not for men to do. I'm not saying it should be for women to do. Whining is for children, and even they shouldn't do it. But I'm just saying, it's true. There's a double standard. We have to be honest. It's there. Mm-mm.
Yeah, and then with the guy, going to the first guy I was speaking of, it was like I'm not gonna say he poked his lip out, but it sounded like he poked his lip out because there was a couple of times it happened on the phone and a few times, in person. But it was almost like he folded his arms and poked his lip out. Well, see, and see, I don't like that, cuz. See, you be doing such and such, and cause see, I'm like,
Mm,
What?"
mm.
Mm.
And I'd like to welcome to the panel DeAndre. Greetings,
Oh,
greetings. Welcome.
greetings, Char. Greetings, Ruby.
Hey, DeAndre.
And I will be the representation for the men out there. And um, what it is, what I realize what it is, you know, is it's the frustration, right? Because a lot of people don't
Hmm.
see a relationship as a topic, or it doesn't see it as a situation. they see the relationship as a situation of someone wills the power and someone else follows, where it's not like a joint union of two people compromising on certain things. And this is where, for a relationship to last, you have to make a what was it, like a friendship, right?
Hmm.
And in a friendship, that dynamic is that you don't have to deal with each other at all. And when people
Yeah.
into a real intimate relationship, they have this weird deduction in their head that my compromising in this is love blinds that, so I'm just going to follow what you need to follow, and the dominating personality. And people think a dominating personality is someone flipping tables, throwing chairs, and screaming at the top of their lungs. But the dominating personality, the most dominating personalities that I've seen, and just my observations, are the silent. Like my uncle with my aunt is like a loud person. Like not in the fact that she's just that's who she is. She's a high voice, high energy person. When she's nice, it's high energy. When she's mean, it's super high energy, right? My
Hmm.
uncle is mild mannered, soft spoken. But when my aunt would go a little bit too far with stuff, he never raised his voice. He would say, "That's enough," and just look at it. She would just shut down, like stop in her tracks, like
Mm.
pause, right?
Hmm.
And as a young man, watching how he does that sent a signal to me as a young man, is this is how a relationship's supposed to go as a man, on how you deal with things. If
Mm.
you are screaming and yelling and y'all barking at each other, that's going nowhere. But
Right. And that's why I don't like to argue because you're
yeah,
not getting anywhere. I call it we just going up in octaves. I don't like what you said. 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 That's all we doing.
Yes, yes. I wish I had applause. I'd be playing it right now for you, Shar. That was awesome. It's
yeah,
so true.
yeah. Nobody got time for that. But then you got to look at this thing, right? The This society thinks being soft spoken. The thing that's eerie to me, like if you ever watch a television show, and
Yes.
when you see the hero, right, the protagonist, because the
Hmm.
antagonist is loud, as boisterous, right? But when you watch a show and you see that sinister antagonist that never gets out of his feelings, but when he says something, he means it, because it sends a chill down your spine, because he's so direct with it, it doesn't make a difference. And when people that don't get their way, and like you say, they start having tantrums like little Billy and the Owl flipping over the cereal because he can't get his Cocoa Puffs or whatever he wants, right?
Hmm.
And when you hear the parents sit there like, "No, Billy, you're not going to get that," but then you finally see that whole, like I say, quote unquote, black person. I knew my mom was mad at me when she wasn't yelling, when she would speak through her teeth, right? That whole shut
Uh-huh.
your ass down before I fuck you up. Like
I
that speaking through
told
the
you to.
teeth. Yeah, exactly. Didn't I tell you? Oh, you know what? It's me and you when we get home. It was over. You already knew. You're getting executed, right? I would rather her yell and scream at me because it was already out. And I think that whole anger thing is the frustration, but it's the that you can't properly communicate to the other person because they're not accepting your argument. They don't care at that point, right? They took out a loan from the like savings alone. I don't care. And what people realize is that
uh, like
for a person to
savings
have
alone. I don't
empathy,
care.
uh,
And
for
and you and
for a person that doesn't really care, or you think they don't care, they may care but not right now. It's not important to them. If you can't get that across to that person, it leads to frustration, but it's all about you communicate. So if you start off a relationship with friendship, because friends know each other, we know what buttons to press and not to press. And I think we go to the intimacy more than the friendship first, right? You get to that friendship phase because when you get older, gravity's undefeated. The sun is undefeated. Stuff starts sagging, hair starts getting gray. Can you stay with this person until you get old? Like until like this person is going to have to help you out the car. Like this person's got to be with you, like until the end of a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you that whole infatuation and love stuff and that anger and built up. Now let's not be, we're all human. We all getting our tantrums. We all want our way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's just not say like I done did it. Like even I'm married. My wife doesn't do it like I'm saying because of whatever. But even in the conservative way that she was brought up, they don't do all that yelling back and forth stuff. But
Right.
they do
Right.
it in a more, I would say, like poking way, like uh like like for Shar, for instance, I can see why she would get that reaction from dude because I know Shar. Shar cares a lot, but the way Shar asks questions and the way Ruby would ask you a question, it feels like you in the psychologist chair. And then it's like a reflecting of yourself, and people don't want to see themselves. They actually want to blame other people and not take responsibilities for their faults and put it on other folks.
Mm-hmm.
And they
Shar's
want,
scarier though.
oh yeah, Shar, Shar to sit up there and start asking me questions. It's like I feel like one of my aunties or something taking me to trial. Like and it makes you feel ashamed, and people don't want to feel ashamed, right? They don't want to feel that way.
Right.
You feel
So
ashamed when you didn't do nothing wrong, and she only says like 5 words. It's
yeah,
amazing. Like it's a skill. You just were born with that inherent skill to terrify people with your questions.
you should have been a prosecutor.
Right?
You know
Oh
what? You
man.
know what, DeAndre? Man, I tell you what, bruh, preach the truth. And I totally agree with everything you are saying. And here's the thing that I do not understand. And we as black men, we were raised, you always put your queen first. And there's no room for violence. There's no room for take and putting your hands on a woman. Straight up, you don't do that. You do not do that. That law has been written from the pharaohs all the way down. But now we are into a century from we have been chained slaves up till now. And we have to take a look at women back in the days with the African queens. Well, we were dominant, but now we have to give women their due, their independence. And the biggest problem I see is with African American men. We are not acceptable to the fact that our African American women, they have minds, they have thoughts. And how do we take and bring that in to where you can take and achieve your same goals? Let's face it, family, income, everything. But there is no room where you are at the point that your African American queen, if she is out there making more money than you, okay, and you are right now at where you're at, there is no reason for you to disrespect our queens. We have to get out of the chain culture and remember she is the mother of the world. That is your brown woman, your light brown woman, and yeah, my daughter, she's a light brown woman. But anyway, but you got to remember, she's the mother of the world, like Frankie Beverly and May said. So if you put your hand on a woman, well, you know what? I got no just for you. You got to listen to her, respect her, take and listen to what she has to say for you in your life. Because the old saying is the success behind every man is a woman. And you know what, brothers? The success behind every man is a black woman.
Well, welcome to the panel, Joe Cool. Thank you so much for joining the conversation. Appreciate that.
Yes, welcome.
Yes, welcome, welcome. Yeah, I totally agree with you, and you know what I'm saying. And I don't like to highlight and push anything because you know I'm a fair individual. There's no definites in the universe. So when I point out certain things, I say there is a minute or there's a small thing. There is a time, right, that it is needed. You know, where people need to just keep their hands to themselves. But I have seen many occasions where man ain't did nothing, and somebody didn't put their hands on him. It was a
An
woman.
African American woman, you put your hands on her, she's gonna fight back.
No, no.
That
I mean, before, like,
that is, I know, I heard
yeah,
what you said.
yeah, yeah,
That is
yeah.
our culture. If you go back to Africa, the
Mm-hmm,
women, okay, you have the hunters
mm-hmm.
and the gatherers. Okay. Now, the gatherers, they will go out, they will bring meat into the village. Now, you have to go back to culture, bro, because culture is still here. Even though we choose to ignore it, it's here. It's ingrained in us. But, because
Yes,
the slave mentality has pushed that aside, but it's still ingrained. Okay. But go
yes,
back. You got the hunters and the gatherers. The woman goes out, she brings the food in, the men rerun the villages. All right. But now here's the thing about it, we have lost track of our culture. Marcus Garvey, when he was doing the Back to Africa movement, and this is the culture that he instilled. It didn't happen, and it wasn't going to happen. So we're here in the 19th century, the
mm-hmm.
20th century, the 21st century. So here's what I'm saying. Sisters out there, they want relationships. But you know
Oh,
what? We have fell into the superfly attitude, the black exploitation attitude. But you know what? A sister is a sister. She wants you to come up to her, introduce yourself, say hi, how you doing? What's
yeah.
your name? What do you like? What do you want to do? What's happened is we failed our sisters.
Mm,
If you
mm,
go
mm,
back and take a look at that, we did this to sisters.
mm,
Sisters are beautiful, they're brown, they have brown eyes, they're gorgeous, they have caramel colored skin, but brothers, we screwed it up. We did it. So,
mm,
you know
mm,
what? That's why we were taking a look at sisters. They're beautiful and brown and golden. But brothers, you better take a look at what you did to this. You talk to daddy, you talk to the movies, you talk to the music with excuse me, Shar, the BI and HOs, and we fell into that culture.
mm.
Get out of that culture, go back to our African women. They are strong. They are beautiful. They are gorgeous. they're awesome. Okay.
Okay, and I'm gonna have to bring it back to what we were speaking of with the anger of it. Um, I'm sorry, DeAndre, I forgot the last point because I wanted to add to that, but
Mhm.
my Wi-Fi started struggling and kicked
Oh
me
yeah,
out.
yeah,
And I was going to
yeah,
add to what you mentioned. Oh,
mhm,
I think it was your mom. She would clench her teeth,
yeah.
and you knew what was going on. Um, and I kind of forgot what I wanted to say behind that, but um, as far as with arguing, you're not getting anywhere with that. At least in my opinion, you don't get anywhere. So I try to find out what the problem is, because sometimes it isn't anything that you've done or anything that you can do. Sometimes it's just that individual. And in this instance with the letter, um, this guy, I don't know what it is that he might not have done, that he may have forgotten, but his punishment, I would say, should not be, oh, I'm going to destroy something of yours because I'm angry. Or if he decides, I don't want to do this such thing, his punishment should not be, well, I'm going to do this to you because you didn't give me what I want. And then the final straw for him, according to the letter, she bleached the man's clothes. And he said his clothes cost some money. I don't even care if they were from what Target. That was the man's clothes. You destroyed his property. You don't just walk away from that. At least for me, I don't find just saying, okay, well, you did that to me, that's fine. No, something is wrong. And you're not going to manipulate me, destroy my things to get me to do something. You, whatever's going on with you, sister, you're going to have to fix that. I don't know
Yeah.
what his outcome is. I haven't heard back from him, but go
Look,
ahead, Ruby, chime in, or
I'm gonna
whoever
say
wanted to
this.
come in.
I'm gonna say this. I've seen it on both ends of the spectrum. Men, women, I mean, doing it to each other or going off. And from a man's perspective, this is how the world works. The world is set like this, right? Um, there was a time where the wife beater, the cigarette out the mouth, and the Jack Daniels, and the strong backhand, right? That was back in the 50s, 60s, late 70s, or whatever, right? Now, if you move into this new era of 80s and 90s and the early 2000s, and now we in the 10s and the 20s, it's the like I said, the way the world works, it evens itself out. And I would give that brother the advice, because right now, if she feels as though she can do that, she's empowered to do so by society. If he was to react any type of way, like even in some cases, like with like in a domestic violence dispute, right? The man can be getting beat up. The police can go there. They can see that he physically didn't do anything. He got beat up. They can come in and she can be beating on him, but he has to leave the home. You can't put a
Mm-hmm.
woman out. Period. Like I was in the military. It was a guy on the ship, best guy ever met in the world. Wife was mad at him for whatever reason, because he wouldn't do what she wanted him to do. Right? It was a brother and it was a sister. They got stationed over here, and he was working late because he was an engineer. And I guess whatever was going on in their head, because this does happen. It's not a lot, but it's few. Right? And what she did was she took all the food out of the refrigerator, took a picture, sent it to his bosses. Now this is the military. This ain't regular civilian life. So they got different rules. Whatever they say goes. You can have all the evidence that you didn't do nothing wrong, and if they feel like just because you was in the wrong place at the wrong time, guess what? You get in trouble. She took a picture, sent it to the command, and basically said that he wasn't feeding them. He was blowing the money. He was doing all of this other stuff, right? Because she wanted to go out somewhere and he couldn't go because he had to work because it was duty calls, right? Because you're in the military first. So what happened with them? Luckily, there were people that knew the situation. They looked out for him. But when he went home, right? Because he didn't see
Mm-hmm.
the thing, she started to fight him. He called the base security. They showed up. He had to leave and sleep on the ship. So, and then he had to go through this whole thing. They had to hold him on the ship for 45 days. He couldn't leave the ship. He couldn't do this. I done seen guys get sent letters and videos in the mail with the woman saying, I can't be with you. And there's a whole bunch of dudes in the room running the train on.
Mm-hmm.
I done seen it, right? I done seen dudes lose their mind and snap, and we had to keep suicide watch on. Right?
UCMJ, DeAndre.
Yep. UCMJ, right? So, but if you think about it in this culture, right, the UCMJ is just like it's the court of public opinion. Look at John.
You are guilty until we prove you innocent.
Yep. And even if that, it doesn't matter either, because, you know, I mean, you're the property of the government. But let's look at another situation. Let's look at the Johnny Depp situation, right?
Okay.
He lost a lot of money. This woman ran around that was his wife, lied and said he beat her up. She even put makeup on to look like she got beat up. Then the audio tapes came out where she was beating him up.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah. He had to pay all this money. He got fired from the Pirates of the Caribbean movie.
Yep.
From Disney. He done gave this $15 million, had to give $5 million to a charity. Right. And then she keep trying to get more money. And then he finally released the audio tapes that they were supposed to settle out of court because she violated the settlement. Right. Because he was just going to stand on that $20 million loss. Then they found out what actually happened. Let's look at the Tiger Woods situation. Right. Everybody was clued on. He was messing with all these chicks, but no one was clued on how he was trying to get away from her while she was bashing him with a golf club.
Right.
Like, how hurt can you be driving out of your driveway going 15 miles an hour and crashing into a tree with airbag suspension unless your back was getting messed up because she was beating you with a golf club? See, they don't report that part of it, but he got excoriated for years for what he did, right? Now, what he did was stupid, right? What he did was stupid. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, she was beating a man with a golf club.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a different standard.
You're talking about Tiger Woods?
Yeah, about the Tiger Woods thing than the Johnny Depp thing. There's a different standard now than it was back in the 60s and before then, because men would do that to women and nothing would happen to the men, right? The women would be out. So like I said, the universe balances itself. But as a man for right now, and I'm saying this is a small percentage, this is not everybody.
No.
It's not everybody, right? Small percentage. Is as a man, you can't even put yourself in a predicament with a woman where there's an argument taking place. Like
in New York, that has changed now. What happens with New York, the first law enforcement officer that arrives on the scene, he will take the complaint from the person that dialed the 911. And so what they said was, regardless of man, woman, whoever dials the first one. So now you have a race to the telephone. So if a woman hits a man, assaults him, okay, and now he has to say, oh crap, I got to get to the phone before she does. You know, and that's how they do it in New York. But you know what? Here's the thing. There's an old African saying, when two elephants fight, the only thing that gets harmed is the grass.
Yeah. And you're right. But here's the thing with us in our community, right? If a man sits up there and starts talking, right? Like, okay. When they talk about the anger issue, right?
Right.
It's heavy-handed on the woman's side for reporting, right? First of all, it used to be no reporting, right? Like, you know, just like black people, like, you know, when you're young, right?
Right.
There you call the police.
Right.
I call it for you.
Right.
They will be coming with a body bag. I'm gonna kill you. You know.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Like that, right?
Yep.
So
Good
it's
point.
in a man and a woman's dynamic, right? the woman is more likely to call, right? The man will actually remove himself out of the situation. He'll just walk out the house, walk out the door, right? I've seen situations where a heated argument then took place on both sides, and the man will say, "You know what? I'm out." And you know, and you'll get the woman, you know, she'll try to block his path because she's not done with him yet. And
Right.
then, you know, and he'll be like, "Look, you're
Right.
blocking my path. I need to get out." And he'll try to walk around, and then she'll get upset and stuff, and then he'll try to move her out the way, and she'll fall over something, or he'll, you know, what I mean, something, and you know, and it's really getting, and this is why we need to bring back the old courting routine.
Okay.
Right?
Well,
This is
if
what
I
I-
could
Explain
interject
that.
really
I'm sorry.
quickly.
Oh, sorry, Ruby, good.
Yeah, explain that.
Yeah, I just want to interject really quickly and say this. Here's the thing, right? And this is why I would separate someone who sits there and their way of getting back at you when you hurt their feelings, disrespect them or whatever, to bleach your clothes, cut your shit up, you know, drive your car into a lake or whatever. That's not the person who's calling the cops on you. That is the person who's using their anger and their hurt as manipulation. You're not going to do what I want you to do. All right, well, I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you where it hurts.
Good
Now,
point.
the problem, right? Because the problem is this. With these people who are going to call the police, right? With a man, men don't call the police because honestly, if they really, really want to, they can exert a power you do not have as a woman to get their way because they're bigger than you and stronger than you. And if they really want you to sit the fuck still, they can make you, right?
You know
Women
what? Here's
can't.
the thing. Here's the thing. Why men they did a study that abuse with men, with women, and men are underreported. Why is that?
Well, that's why, right? Because men know, right, that they are bigger and stronger than women, right? So now if a woman is the one who's hitting them, beating them, hurting them, they're not retaliating, right? They would feel literally like punks, like bitches, like a woman. For needing to call the police to protect themselves, right? Like basically saying you're too weak to be able to take a woman punch. Like she's just a woman. She's just a woman, right? So it's the same reason why men are underreported for any type of victimization, right? Because it takes away their masculinity. It takes away.
There's some women out there. There's some women out there that will take and put a hurting on you.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, absolutely, right? But most men, again, they could exert that dominance if they needed to. If they really wanted you not to move, they could stop you. Women really can't, right? I mean, DeAndre just painted the picture perfectly. She could try to do whatever she wants, but if you want to pick her up and move her the hell out of your way, you're gonna. If you want to get out that door, you're gonna. And so her picking up the phone and calling the police, that is her equivalent of being able to, you know, lock her arms around you and stop you from moving. To put you down on the couch and make you sit there, right? Because she can't physically dominate you, but you know what? By her saying, I'm calling the police on you, it can stop you dead in your tracks. Do you want to get arrested today? Do you want to possibly get shot down today? Well, then maybe you should listen to what she's saying. Yeah, right? That's what it is. That's anger manipulation. And that's the kind of person that's dangerous, and you should leave immediately,
there it is,
no matter what.
Exactly.
Anger manipulation. That's yeah, I never heard that. Thank you.
That's what it is. I'm like, well, you like it's like that's what I'm saying. It's like I said, everything needs to be balanced, right? Like there's always a sway. Everything sways one way, sways the other way, right? You know, we say things in what we call the cancel culture, right? Right? Like the PC culture now. But before, you know, me and Cerulean yesterday, we were watching old stand-ups from the 70s. And just in the first 2 minutes of what they said, you couldn't even say that nowadays without being gone. Right?
Good point. Good point.
It was people were so numb and nonchalant with it because it was everyday life to this ain't right to people are so trying to be in front of it, right? Like with the Me Too stuff and with the other stuff. People didn't care, but now they care too much, right? They're publicly excoriating people, and now this is where you're getting this dichotomy between men and women, right? Where now women were, you know, in the workplace and stuff, and the men that were in power, they were using their power and their anger. Like, if you don't do this, I know you got those kids and you're a single mom, so if you don't go out with me, I'll fire you, and those kids will be
Right.
out on the street,
Right.
right? Where you got on the other hand, where nowadays, if a woman wants a rise in something, she'll act like
Right.
not all women, just a little bit. She'll act like she's interested in the guy. The guy will fall for the stupor, right? And
Right.
then when she doesn't get that promotion, she'll go and put a sexual harassment complaint in. Or
Right.
she
But you know what? There's a
wrong.
good point you just brought out with the Me Too movement. Now,
Mhm.
take a look at the Me Too movement and what we call is the 25-20 with the,
Mhm.
yeah, you know what that is. But
Yeah.
it's from the white music,
Mhm.
movies, and it has now moved in to the black artists.
Well,
Russell
well,
Simmons now.
well, here's the thing, right? The Me Too movement was actually started by a black woman,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
It started by black women, but it was hijacked by white women, right?
Right. Oh, yeah.
So,
Thank you. Thank
yeah,
you, bro.
so,
You know what?
so
If you were here in front of me, I'll give you a fist bump.
yeah, but
Yes.
everything. Let's be real with this cancel culture and
Let's
this
be real.
stuff, right? The first, like, if there's a domestic violence dispute, right? If there's anything, right? If you was to have a white woman and a black man, right? Like a black couple and a white couple, and the police was to show up,
Been there.
then I guarantee you, after the police would listen to whatever side or whoever called first, the white man has a higher chance of not going to jail than the black man. The black man is already in the patrol car going downtown, and the
Been
black
there.
woman is already at the precinct trying to get him out of jail because she probably didn't call the cops. It was probably the neighbor that heard the noise that called the cops for them, right? Where the white woman picks up the phone and she calls the cops, right?
Been
And then when the cops get there, and then it's real, and then he's sitting there looking like a little kid because daddy actually done came home because the cops is daddy, right?
Been there.
He gonna act right? So this is the thing, and when we talk about, do we use this in our own culture, right? The anger manipulation starts from our parents, how our parents raised us, right? If you look at that anger manipulation, right? If you look at how you raise your children, how you deal with their punishment, right? That's what happens. My mom taught me something. My grandmother, when she would ever physically have to use the corporal punishment, or you know what I'm saying, when she would say bust your behind or whatever, she
Right.
never did it in a place of anger, right?
Right.
She would
Right.
say what she would need to say, she would calm down, and then, hey, we got to do this, homie, because you didn't
Right.
get the message, right? So when
Right.
when I have my children, I never did it like that. We would have a conversation. I took it a step further. I'm not yelling at you. I'm not going to do that, right?
I'm trying to educate you.
I'm gonna educate you. Now I have to.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing, bro. Here's the thing, bro. You know what? I love you. I agree with everything you say. Here's the thing. You're driving while black. You're a homeowner while black. You're driving a Corvette owner while black. You are BW everything while black. Okay. You are mowing your lawn by black. But see, the thing is, a lot of brothers, and here's the thing, we have to realize that because the man that has the gun, the man that has the car, the man that has the badge, okay, and then I'm not saying be paranoid, but what I'm saying is learn the game because you are BWB. You are homeowner while black. You are driving that brand new Corvette while black. You are doing everything while black. And so white America has not embraced us. They are tolerating us. Okay? It's here. All right. Uh, Bigotry, prejudice, it's here. And the reason why is because we gave the world architecture, medicine, everything. White America, they are fearful of an educated African American male and woman. They cannot deal with that yet. Now, do you
Okay, I'd
still,
like to jump in here, Joe Cool. I want to welcome She to the panel. He's been waiting for a while.
how's
How
she?
are you today?
I'm good. I'm just
I yield my
And
table to she.
and I can't hear you. Are you there?
I'm good. I'm just listening. I'm just listening. I'm quiet but listening.
All right. Well, I want you to join in. It's just not a panel just to have your avatar up here. What would
Okay.
you like to share with us about the letter I read and some of the comments about the manipulation with anger? You have any
Well,
advice for the person?
I actually just joined in. Sorry to you. You know, I've always listened to your channel, but like I said, I actually just joined in. I just came off an arts panel, so I seen you were live still, so I jumped on your channel. That's why I was actually listening to grab the topic, and it seems to be that something along the lines of women and male having this conflict and police and stuff. So that's why I'm just actually listening.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, that's what it seemed like it, but actually the topic is about anger and manipulation. A guy had wrote in to me and he was asking advice about he had a relationship for 3 years
Uh huh.
and the young lady had she was angry and she's been acting up with them anytime that she gets angry with them. She throws his food away and do little crazy stuff. And the last thing that was the final straw for him is she bleached all his clothes. So he's thinking
Well,
about leaving her. That was what he said in the letter. So we were just talking about some of the things people do to manipulate the anger, how it is for men, how they deal with it, how it is for women. So we kind of there, what we were speaking of. So would you like to comment on that?
yes, I know this situation so well. I see people go through it. I mean, I don't actually go through it because I don't live
Mhm.
my life in that path. But when it comes down to it, I've seen friends and family members go through it. When it comes down to it, it depends on that person actually what they believe and what they want to do. I mean, to go through situations where a woman does such tedious things as torment you throughout things because they know the conflicts. If you touch them, you'll go to jail in certain instances to the point where you're going to be accountable for your actions. I mean, personally, I've never went through that because I don't deal in those type of situations. Even with the women I've dealt with in the past, if you carry yourself in a certain way, they know what type of person you are. They proceed and deal with you in a certain way. Most men they lust after certain women to the point where they caught up in those situations. You know, if it gets to a point where I see certain signs or certain issues that a person has, I leave them alone immediately because it only leads to like a, just say a broken bridge when it comes down to it. It leads to a broken bridge. If you actually go through a relationship every time you're giving a woman a chance because she had a bad past or bad situations, you know, I listen to a lot of people and I go through a lot of situations, and it boils down to if you keep repeating that cycle, it's you. You got to change yourself. You got to stop moving in the same crowd. You got to stop dealing with the same people. You know, if you're
I
dealing with a
heard
woman
that.
that always want to touch, always want to put their hands on you, always want to curse at you in a certain type of way, a certain type of format, that's the manner that you pretty much put yourself in. You don't you don't go in situations just because. You actually put yourself in those situations. That's like a person wind up in a bank robbery. You don't just wind up in the bank robbery for no reason. You actually talk to the guys. You go through the bank robbery. These guys talking about they finna rob the bank. You're listening to them. You're going through the plans. Everything is laid out. It's not like you just walk into a house one day and say, "Hey, we're gonna go rob a bank. Come join us." No, it doesn't happen like that. Even in relationships, you have these women that will come out here. They'll say, "Okay, I love you. I want to be with you," and they turn away. It's a whole different person. You know, you might have had a situation where this girl, she was, I'm just looking for a good man. I have a child. I don't want to deal with no guy that's not this and this that way. And the moment she showed herself was probably like 2 weeks into the relationship. Me and her started talking. She was like, "Yeah, I'm looking for a good man, this and that." Situation happened. I was making good money. I was gonna actually get a rental car because I didn't have a car at that time. I didn't need a car because I went in and out of town. So I told her, I said, here's $200 to get a rental car. A situation came up. I was actually finna go back out of town. I told her, I said, "Here, I gave you $200. Keep the money, get the rental car, do whatever you want. We was finna go out on a date, everything." She didn't have a car. I didn't have a car. So I still gave her the money. And the next week, she was like, "Yeah, I need some money to pay for my rent." I was like, "Pay for your rent?" Because she felt that I gave her that money that, I either had a lot of money or I had some type of money to where I can give her money to put on her rent. I was like, "Nah, I don't I don't do that. I don't have money like that." See, when you get in situations with certain people, if they
Hmm.
know like the game, they will play. If you have a certain person that says, this man, he got money, I'm gonna get everything I can out of them. Most guys be like, "Man, I'm gonna see where this relationship goes. She's a good woman. She might be down on her luck. She needs help." I didn't see it as that because if I wasn't there, how would you still get the money for your rent and you work? So that means you wasn't saving money aside for your rent.
True,
Okay. All
true.
right. Hey, DeAndre, you want to take this one?
Hey, you know
I'm
what?
definitely
Listen, I'm gonna say this right
All
because
right. Hey, I'm not laughing at the brother.
yeah,
Trust me.
no. He's like, but what he did was
he's right
smart.
on.
He's
Yeah,
right on.
straight on. Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
Char,
You're right. Yeah.
you know what I can't stand? I have this thing. I don't know if I can say this, Char, but and Ruby and Char know I say this a lot, and people that talk to me like one on one know this a lot. I have a problem with ain't shitness, right?
Yes, he does.
Yeah,
Yep.
huh? Yeah.
It's
I raise
a
my right hand
problem.
and swear DeAndre has that problem.
I have
Yes, he
I
does.
have a problem with it. But the thing that I have a problem with the worst is enablers of ain't shitness, right?
Yeah,
Hmm.
You can't
yeah.
have a problem and continue to survive as an adult if there's not a group or there's a community of enablers to help you survive, right? So what he's saying is correct is that if someone, that old saying, if you do something to me, shame on you. If you
You.
do it twice,
Twice.
shame on
Shame
me,
on you. Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
you know why shame on me? Because
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
still here and I'm enabling this process to continue to happen. And if people, and if you have this happen to you, right? This man, when it got to the bleach, that's
Oh.
all on him, right? When it got to, look, the second she got mad and she threw my food in the garbage, I'm out. I'm gone. You know what? You keep all that. We
Oh
we
my
don't, we
God.
don't need
My God.
listen. She already snapped on you once. So for her,
Hmm.
Yeah.
see,
Yeah.
if a dude to yell at you, throw something at the thing, snap the table, flip a chair, right? It's only a matter of time before he put his hands on you because you're not meeting
Right.
his
Right.
expectations of
Right.
what he thinks you should be doing or
Right.
what she thinks you should be doing. So
Right.
now it's just going to get worse and worse to the point where they got to put their hands on you. And then even if you don't get that right, it's going to continue to get worse until they kill you. Right.
Right.
So
Yep.
if you don't remove yourself from that situation, and what leads a lot of times is people that enable other people, because they say that they're selfish. No, no, no. They're actually narcissistic because
She's done it before.
he's done it before. So he's actually enabling her thing because when she comes back crying, I'm sorry, and all of this other stuff, she needs me. She's only I can fix
Right,
this person.
right,
I can
right,
do
right,
this. I can fix them. You
right.
can't fix nobody. They gotta fix themselves.
I
Right?
love you,
You're
dear.
right.
I
Like
love
this is
you,
being
man.
real. So with the dude
I love you.
with the brother with the brother she was talking about is no, like I helped you with this because it was that. Now you're asking for that. Well, how are you living?
Hmm.
How are
But
you
the point,
breathing?
the
But
What was
point
up?
DeAndre,
was, it
DeAndre,
wasn't even a help thing. It was the thing, we already had this agreement. I
but
was
bruh,
going to go out
bruh,
with you,
bruh, bruh.
and
Here's
something
the thing.
happened.
Here's the
There was
thing.
no.
I want you to
Yeah,
listen
go
to me.
ahead.
I want you to listen to me straight. You when you laying in the cut, you see a lady that you like, okay, you can't go on and do a credit check. You can't do a background check. You don't know, okay? You are going from visceral instincts. You're going from carnal instincts. Yeah, she got a nice face. She got a nice, you know, everything else. But here's the thing, you can't do a credit check on a woman right there and then. But here's what you got to do, you got to take a look at the red flags. Number one, I straight up and ask, okay, you have your own car? Do you have your own house? Do you have your own credit account? Do you have a bank account? Okay, you know what? Ain't no problem with asking that, but there's a way you can work it into the conversation. So if you're laying in the cut, you meet a woman. She's nice, she's beautiful, because men, we are physical. Women are emotional, and that's been proven. So what you do is you check her out. Okay. So now if you didn't see any red flags from there, that's your problem. But if you see the red flags pop up, bro, you got to take and ask questions. Talk to her. Say, you know what? Tell me about yourself. What do you do? Where do you work? What type of job you have? Do you have kids? Were you married before? You got to ask questions. Relationships are they're there, but you got to ask questions. If you don't ask those questions, well, like DeAndre said, screw me once, shame on you. Screw me twice, shame on me. But you got to look for the red flags, because, and especially I heard one thing you said was that she had kids. Well, their kids have fathers, and what is the father doing? And number one, if you got kids, what the heck are you doing out here? Where are the kids? Who's watching the kids? Is there a nanny watching them? Bro, you got to ask questions. And don't get me wrong, sisters are out there. They want to get away from the kids. They want to enjoy themselves. There are some sisters out there that got kids and they want to go out and have a good time, have fun. But if you get involved with one, bro, you better start asking questions. Number one. And number two, look for red flags.
Okay, if I could interject
Yeah,
something,
go. Yeah, go.
since we're talking about anger and manipulation, so and Rashid, your story brought up a really big well, it would be called a persuasion technique in psychology, but really it's a manipulative technique that advertisers, anyone trying to sell you something does, right? It's called foot in the door.
Who's
Okay,
talking? Who's talking? Right? Who's talking right now?
That's
I'm
Ruby.
classic Ruby.
Oh, Ruby. Oh, hi, Ruby. Hi, baby.
Hey Joshua, how you doing? But yeah, so
Sweetie.
I know it's cool, right? So this is how foot in the door, this technique works, and there's kind of two techniques I'm going to talk about. So the first one, foot in the door. What happens is I'm going to ask you for a small thing, right? You agree to the small thing, right? So when you agree to something small, when I later ask you for something bigger, it actually makes you more likely to say yes, right? So no one's going to ask you for the big ask, right? They go from never asking you for anything to asking you to pay their rent, right? That's a big ask out of the blue, right? First, I'm going to ask you to pay for something small, right? Then when you say yes to that, it actually makes you a lot more likely to say yes to paying for my rent, as messed up as that sounds, right? And like on a smaller level, right? People might see this happen all the time. I'll ask you, hey, can you babysit my kids for an hour? I swear to God, it's going to be an hour. All right, cool. So you agree to that, right? You bring the kids over, you say, I know something happened. Can you just take them for the whole day, please? You're a lot more likely to say yes. What are you going to do? Say, no, I'm only still watching them for the 1 hour, but afterwards I'm putting them outside of my doorstep. No, you're probably going to say yes. So that's the first
Trying to get the
technique.
poontang.
No, this is the first technique people use, and they do it regularly, right? To try to get you, once they get their foot in the door with you, right? They try to ask you for little things, and then they'll ask you for something bigger, and then you're going to say yes to that. They ask you for something bigger, and then you're going to say yes to that. You know what I mean? And soon, this is how people get roped into that stuff. The second thing people do, though, is, and this is a big technique, is they ask you for something really big that's almost unreasonable. You say no to that because, oh my God, that's unreasonable. That's crazy. And so when they ask you for something smaller, the smaller thing seems a lot more reasonable and you're a lot more likely to say yes. So in this case, it would be like, yo, can you pay 6 months of my back rent for me? No, hell no, that's crazy. 6 months of your back rent, what the hell is that? Thousands of dollars? Hell no, right? So then when she asks you, well, can you just give me 1 month? It sounds more reasonable, right? Than 6 months of back rent. And you're more likely to pay it. These are real techniques that human beings, that advertisers, that people use to
Manipulative.
manipulate you into buying stuff. For real, this is what people do to you. I'm being serious.
Yeah,
Learn to recognize the skills.
Yeah, and
yeah. The crazy part is, this the crazy part.
I
I'm
love
married.
you, Ruby. I love you.
I am married, and I have more women come at me being married than I was when I was single.
well,
That girl that came
Wow.
at me, I was single, you know,
Hmm.
didn't have no kids, none of that.
So why are
Once
you
I,
worried about it now?
well, you just
I'm
bringing
not,
it up.
We're
I'm
just
not
having a
worried about it.
conversation.
I'm
That's
just
Okay,
all.
having
okay,
a
my bad, my
conversation. Yeah,
bad, my
yeah,
bad,
yeah.
my bad, my
I'm not
bad,
worried
my
Go
about
bad,
it.
ahead, Cheat.
my bad,
Wait,
my bad.
Yeah, it's crazy that more women are actually coming at me, with the most simplest thing, because you got to understand,
Hmm.
most women at an older age, they start looking at the point that where they need a foundation. They don't need just a boy
Oh
toy.
no, you know what? No, I'm sorry, Shar. I gotta stop. I gotta stop him there. I gotta stop him there. No.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Okay. Women at an older age, their experience, they have been through the BS, and they have seen what younger men can do, okay, and what older men can do. Now, let me tell you about older women. Older women, I have, and I'll tell you what, I have dated all across the color spectrum.
Mhm.
Older African American women, they will sit down with you, they will talk with you, and you can't bring don't even try and bring the game. Don't even try it, because they will look you dead in the eye and say, okay, you know what, Joe Cool, you full of your stuff. Okay, I've done that. And so here's what you got to do. With older, do not, you have to categorize, you box them into a dating situation with where they're at. Okay, older women, they will sit with you, and you got to smell the perfume, you got to smell the hair, you have to take and just relax with them. Trust me, trust me, trust me, you got to relax with them. And then you look them in the eye and you say, you want to go dance? Yeah. You go dance, you bring them back, you sit down, and you no, do not do that with older women, because they have lived it, they've done it, they have the experience. And you know what? At their time in life, I'm not going to say age, at their time in life, they just want to have some fun.
yeah. It's, but
That's what I was referring to before
yeah,
you
Go ahead,
started.
Rashid. I mean, she.
Most,
Sorry.
you good. Most women at an older age, they get to the point where the games are cut out. Like
Yeah,
several
exactly.
women that
Thank you.
some of
Thank you. They've
several
seen
women
the
that
game.
come at
Thank
me,
you.
several women that come at me because it's for one, they see my demeanor, they see the way. Prime example, it's a crazy story, but it was an older
Tell it,
guy. He
bro.
was
Tell it. Tell it.
I'm gonna tell it. It was an older guy at the party. I went to a tailgate party. It was an older guy at the party, and he was talking. Yeah, I knock women down. I got this big thing, and the big thing it rules supreme, and I put it on the woman. I
One
put it to
second,
sleep.
she. Can you speak up a little bit more on your mic? The audience can't hear you.
Okay. So basically, the guy he was
Thanks.
saying that I put it down in the bed and the women love me, and he's like, once I put it down, they go to sleep, and he's giving these little
Yeah, I
accolades on
know.
how you
Yeah,
doing.
yeah, yeah. Yep, yep.
Yeah, and the women they was like, well, I done been through that. So what you got to give to me? What more do you got to give to me? And so the whole time we was there at the party, the women they was talking with me, joking with me, and laughing with me. And so when the women left, he was like, "Hey man, what you do?" He said, "What you tell them?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he was like, "They all over you." I said, "Man, I'm married." I said, "They know." I said, "They know not to mess with me because of my wife." I let them know. I said, "I don't cheat." I said, "That's point blank." These women have seen my kids. I got twin boys. I bring my twin
There
boys
you
around them,
go.
and they say, "Man, that they like them boys are good. You raise them right. You do them this." They say, "Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am." I say, "Yes, that's how I raised them. That's how I grew up." So they look at that and they say, "I want somebody that has they shit together." You
Right.
know, I
yeah.
I work
Exactly.
2 jobs, and they like, "You never come around." I say, "Because I'm working, I'm making money." And they say, "Damn, hey, man, I wish I had a man like you." And the whole thing, they tell me, they say, "If your wife ever leave you," I done had so many older
There
women
you
tell
go.
me,
There you go.
"If
Well,
your wife ever leave you, call me first." I say, I always mess with her. I say, "You need to get in line." She be like, "What?" I be like,
hey,
"Look,
Funny.
I got 8 other women that said the same thing." Because
hey,
see, this is the way I carry myself. I mean, they know when they come, they say, "You you
Confidence.
you date
Confidence.
outside your man." I don't do none of that. I
No.
don't date women outside my man. I don't cheat. I don't do none of that. My wife, when I go to the party, the biggest thing she worry about is women try to influence me. She tell me, she said, "You can go out all you want to. I don't mind you going out." Sometimes I stay out like 2 in the morning. The
mhm.
biggest
What
thing
to
with
say?
her
You know
is
what they
me
say, bro
coming
ham? You know
home.
what they say, bro ham? If you want to be a success, you always put your woman out in front of you first.
Yes, and they know that.
Well,
Every woman knows that. They know not to talk to me.
You
Once
always
they
put
find out
your
I'm
woman
married
in
and they
front of
try
you
to come
first,
at me,
especially if you're married.
yeah.
yeah.
Well,
And when they
well.
come,
Here's the
yeah,
thing, Steve, right? Here's the thing. I'm gonna tell you what it is. It's you yourself, but I'm gonna tell you here's another factor, right? Right? Shar and Ruby know how I think about certain things, right?
Yes.
Nobody want somebody that nobody else want, right?
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying? When
Yes.
you ain't got nobody, whether you single or married,
You're
it's
my bro.
hard to get
You're my
somebody.
bro.
You know what I'm saying? But when you got somebody, everybody wants you. You like, where do you ever
Ain't that
go?
the truth? Ain't that
Right?
the truth?
no, no,
No,
no,
no, no,
no,
no,
no,
no. Wait a
no,
minute. Wait a
no,
minute.
no.
Wait a minute.
No,
Wait a
no.
minute. When you are a success and
Yes.
people look at you, you know what I do? I take and I say, you know what? Look right here next to me, not behind me. Look at next to me. And they look and they see my woman next to me. That's why I am a success. And you know what I say? Talk to her. Just take and talk to her because here's the thing a lot of men forget to put your queen first. And you know what? It's not It's not an alibi. It's not a thing of the uh the de jure. Okay, let me tell you what. If you want to take a look and see what's going on with you in your life, take a look at your woman. Because here's the thing: behind the scenes, okay, we do think we're out front, but behind the doors, I take and I say, "Yo, baby, what you got? Okay, what do you think I should do? What do you think we should do? Okay, because let me tell you about a woman. She gives you that second thought that you don't think about, and you got to take and say, you know what? Yeah, okay, all right, okay. Maybe she's got something, but you know what? We have been so caught up in that macho bull crap that you got to take and listen to a woman, because you know what? They do things by emotion. We do things by our brain.
Well, yeah, like and like I said, she is nothing. I mean, like I said, it's a lot of you, but then it's that underlying factor. When you get to a certain age in life, right?
Right, right.
You know what I
Thank
mean?
you.
And they see
Thank
a man walking around with his stuff
experience.
together, right? But you ain't got somebody that's, even if you're not married long term, or somebody that's equal to, everybody thinks, or what's wrong with you? Like if I see a pretty woman walking around, she's successful, right? But
Right, right,
you
right,
know,
right.
she's at a certain age, you know what I'm saying? And next
Yep,
thing
yep,
I
yep,
and,
yep.
and I and I have a conversation with her, and it's nothing like I'm trying to get at or nothing, because I'm married, right? But we just having a conversation just in general. And she's like, no, I'm not married. It's like, what? Well, okay, that's fine. Like, you know what I'm saying? And she's like, no, I don't got anybody, I'm trying to, find somebody and this, that, and the third. I say, well, why is that? Because you know, not on my level. And I hear dudes say it too. I ain't find nobody on my level or something like that. And I don't want to lower my expectations or whatever. When I go in my head and start compartmentalizing, something got to be off with you.
Yeah. But
Something
you
got
know
to be off.
what? You have to have a woman that's your intellectual and spiritual level. And that's where African American men, the Bible says, do not take, and if you are unyoked, do not do it. And here's the thing: we have forgot that. It's ingrained. It's
But can I say
spiritual.
something though? Because
Yeah,
here's the thing: being equally yoked does not mean being equal.
dominant.
Yeah.
So no, this doesn't mean being equal. That is to say, someone who you are properly yoked with might not be at your level intellectually or
Mhm.
spiritually or physically or on
True.
whatever. It's about the balance that y'all create, and it's about what it is that you each need, right? So they might actually be weak in the spiritual, but you're strong, and they might actually be very strong financial and you're weak and whatever, and so
No,
you
no, that's
balance
not
out,
what.
you create a
Who am
balance.
I talking to? Who's
Oh,
this?
Ruby.
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 Oh,
That's
hi,
Ruby.
Ruby.
That's
Ruby, I love you, baby.
it's only
No,
two
Ruby,
female
what I'm saying
voices
is
on
no,
here.
Ruby. What I'm saying is spiritually. I'm saying spiritually because
Okay.
Oh,
Nah, I was gonna let you go ahead and finish. Go ahead.
no, bro. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
I'm saying spiritually,
Nah.
Ruby. You and I, and we go to church on Sundays, but we have fun, we do this, but we believe in a higher creator, a higher spiritual being. And I get up every morning, I say my prayers, I read, I meditate, and I read my Bible. And it's like Matthew, and it says, do not be unyoked. And, but I'm saying is, with a lot of people go out. I want to meet somebody. I'm going to go on this internet site and meet somebody. And it's a spiritual thing with relationships. You have to be, because I believe this: if you are not yoked with the same person after spirit, it's like, and we're gonna have fun, we're gonna go to jazz concerts and everything else, but you have to believe in a higher calling. Say prayers to Godfather, okay? Give thanks. It's called acts, okay? Adore, okay? Confess, give thanks, and supplement. And if a woman does not have those acts in her life where she's not yoked with me, that's what I'm saying.
But that's you. But see, not every man,
I know.
whether you agree with this or not, it comes down to there are men who are atheists or agnostic, and for them, that isn't
I
going
agree.
to
I
be
agree.
an important factor. In fact, for them, they might actually be very unequally yoked with a woman who's highly spiritual,
Oh,
because in and of
hell
itself, that impedes the life that he wants to live, and she can't be a proper support to the life he wants to build
yeah. Oh, yeah,
because
there's
they're
dogs
going in
out
different
there.
directions.
You're right, baby. You're right. There's dogs out there. And you know what? They're not spiritual.
Not just dogs. there are decent men out there, and you know what? For them, religion and faith is not the priority. Maybe they
Exactly.
believe in
I
God,
agree.
but
I
going to
agree.
church on Sundays isn't a big thing for them. Or like many people I know who are Caribbean, at least a lot of us were born and raised in churches that were incredibly pious, and really detrimental to our psyches, amongst other things. And so, you know what? One of the things that people don't want to do actually is to allow religion in the church to
Yeah.
be a part of their lives, because they've seen it be so destructive. I've seen it be very destructive, and I was even born and raised into it. I chose to go to church
Oh,
of
I'm
my
a
own
reformed
accord at
Catholic.
11, and it destroyed me at 11. So, but I'm saying that doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to be a dog or a bad person or immoral or whatever, right? But I couldn't be with someone who
No,
wants to
baby,
go to
I
church
agree.
3 times
No,
a week,
I agree.
right?
Yes, yes, darling. I agree. I agree. But for me, and okay, here's what I say. If I go and my next mate with is a woman, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, are you spiritual? But I'm not going to take and say, okay, you're not spiritual, throw her to the curb. No, it's like it's my belief. If she agrees with my belief, well, fine. If she doesn't, well, cool. But if she's got a banging body, a good face, and she can have a conversation, let's go have some fun. Let's do some smooth jazz. Let's rock and roll. you know. But that's
I,
my
I'm going
belief.
to interrupt here because I forgot we're not anywhere near the topic of anger and manipulation. I don't know how we got here. I like to swing it back because we're
I
somewhere
want to
else.
swing
We're
it.
in
Yeah,
a
we
different
did kind of
road,
get off the topic.
Yeah, we was
up
I
the
want
street and
suspect
round the
left
block.
turn.
Very
Yeah,
far.
yeah,
Yeah.
suspect left turn. Suspect
it.
left turn.
The
Yeah,
the
let's get
crazy
back. Let's get back.
the
So I'm going
crazy
to
part
welcome
of
to the.
anger.
I'm sorry, Shar. I'm sorry.
No problem. I got you. I ain't got no problem. I want to welcome the other Ray J to the panel. Did
Good
you want to
evening.
weigh in?
Yeah,
Greetings,
I did.
greetings.
Yes, yes. Good evening, everyone. By the way,
Good
How you
evening.
Good.
doing, brother? How you doing?
yeah, blessed and highly favored. Just to, I want to stick with the topic of what Shar has in mind, but I do kind of want to, kind of tie in with what everybody just discussed about. Now, I think we've gone very far away from what I like to call universal law and natural law. A lot of religion has pretty much corrupted a lot of our psyche. But ironically, in the Bible itself, it does talk of, when y'all brought up this idea of unequally yoked, to me, that represents more or less equilibrium, vibration. So I can see what Classic Ruby's saying as far as uh, even though the woman isn't equal to the man, it's just some things about her that is complementary to a man. So in tying in with what Shar has wanted to discuss with everybody tonight, you're going to have someone that can actually drain you given their significance that you put into your life. Yeah, that significance of that person. And so I see like some people can take their position, uh, I guess they use it to take advantage of a person. And so it's more or less you putting yourself in a vulnerable position to where you can trust that individual and they not
Mhm.
take advantage of you. But we see this happen a lot. And so I think as I said in the chat earlier, as far as codependency being taboo. And I hope you guys are not hearing this rice burner. Never mind. Yeah, those are guy in a little car, loud pipe. But anyway, um, there's this idea though that when you are connected with someone and they're not understanding their who they are in your life, they're going to easily take advantage of you, even if you thought highly of a person. So I guess that's the problem, is that when you do put certain trust in a person, you never know if that's guaranteed or not. And that's kind of like the way I see society going now. There's just like no guarantees that someone's going to have that vibration back with you that's complimentary.
Is this
Mm-hmm.
happening with you with someone right now in your life?
No, I'm just generally speaking right now. But
Has
I
it
appreciate your
happened?
concern.
Has it
Yeah.
happened?
Has it happened before? Yeah, I'm not going to say it hasn't. Yeah, this happened before.
How did you deal with it?
How did I deal with it?
Yeah, how did you deal with it?
Well, more or less what I experienced from it was the best way that I dealt with it. I knew that the person was draining me, I knew that she didn't believe in the vibrations that she was giving back to me.
Did
She
you love
didn't.
her? Did you love her?
Oh yeah, most definitely.
How did you deal with the betrayal?
It was painful.
How did you deal with the pain?
Took time.
You still keep in touch with her,
No,
but you
but
still think about her, don't you?
right. There's still that love there, and it's more or less a love, more or less like I wish things would be different, but I know that she will always remain the same.
She touched your heart, didn't
Yeah,
she?
that's right.
She touched
Yeah,
your
she touched me, bro.
okay. You still think about her every single day, don't you?
No, not every day, but there's
Well,
still a part of her that's there in
well,
my heart.
yeah.
You
Okay.
know,
But how'd you deal with the betrayal though?
it was like I said, it was still something that at the time when it happened, it was just me more or less. At first, when it initially happened, I didn't want to come to realization of it. You know, I still tried my best to show her my love, and it just more or less as time went. Well, I won't say as time went on. I'll just simply say that upon it happening, um, I just wanted to like try to forget. At first, you want to forget, but then the pain sets in more and more and more. You know, and so lost a lot of weight. You know, got very depressed.
Are you still hurting from that love?
No, there's a scar there, though. I mean, there's going to
No,
always be that scar.
scars are still there, but are you still hurting from it when you think
No,
about
no.
it? Okay.
Can I weigh in on mine?
Just speak up a little louder for the audience.
I say, can I weigh in on mine?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, basically it was a girl I had back in high school. We messed around, and as time went on, we was on and off. She entered another relationship, and you know the guy approached me because she started reaching out to me. I guess I don't know for what reason the guy he wasn't doing right or something. She started coming at me, and so basically, me and her we talk every once in a while. The guy actually called me one day. It was funny because I said him straight. I basically told him, I said, he called me. He's like, hey, you calling this number, this my phone. Who is this? Type of deal. And I say, look, I know who number this is. You know who number this is. So let's be upfront. Who are you and what do you want from me? And so the guy he came out front. He was like, this my girl. She's pregnant, which I didn't know at the time. And he was like, she about to have my baby. I just want to know what's going on with you and her. And I explained to him, I was like, look, she called me. Everything's cool. We're friends. We old friends. She reached out to me just to see how I was doing. It was no kind of relationship. Every time we talked, it was always a, hey, how you doing? That's it. Nothing more than that. I never knew she was pregnant, none of that stuff. Her and the dude broke up. She tried to get with me. I basically explained to her, I was like, if you with that dude, I can't deal with you. So she basically was like, me and the dude over, and I was like, so what's up with the child? You pregnant, this and that. And one thing led to another. Her mother her mother told her what she wanted to do with her relationship, and I overheard it on the phone. So after that, I stopped dealing with her altogether. You know, and it goes back into the whole situation with that relationship thing, to where I was like, I was kind of hurt that she really was coming at me in that sense, and the whole thing with her having a child. And I was just like, I can't deal with that. The whole thing, I never had any scarred about it. It's kind of brushed in the wind, but the whole thing of it was, for a woman to actually, to a certain degree, when she have a child, she started realizing what she really want out of life, and it's not this person. It's a person that she used to deal with or she wanted to be with. And
Well,
when I stopped dealing with her, she I'm not trying to like down her, but she went kind of downhill from there. And
Mm.
when I reached out to her one day, because she was on her third child, and I was like, what are you doing dealing with these guys? I was like, I treated you better than that. I was like, you need to get yourself together. And after that, once I talked to her and had that situation, she's kind of been on the up and there ever since then.
well, I'm gonna say like this, and I'm glad that you know what I'm saying, that you said that. Like, and the other brother that was talking about his situation, and being like real transparent and honest with it. And everybody, man or woman, what I'm saying, if you are relatively decent human being, and you have some selflessness about you, you know you may go through in a situation, maybe not as in depth as most people, because you might like, no, I'm getting the hell up out of here, this is crazy. Or you may be so infatuated with the person you're dealing with, and it doesn't even have to be on that whole intimacy level. It can be friends, it can be family members, right? You know what I'm saying? Because the
Yeah,
that whole um anger manipulation thing, right? A lot of people that are in those situations, when they get to be adults, saw those situations. The people that actually use those situations to their advantage and use them to manipulate people saw how they work to great effect, right? If you know,
Mhm.
so with this whole anger manipulation thing, it's a thing, right? Because on the other part of that, you got sympathy manipulation, where a person will always come to you down and out and prey on your empathy, where the anger manipulating person will try to control you directly with anger, what I mean, in any type of situation. And it can be anything. And the reason why these things come about, because it's always from a conversation of something that they hold with, they think is the priority, regardless of what you want to do. And it could be as simple as something that's taking out the trash, like in a situation, or hey, did you call such and such back? And everything that they going through that day, through that frustration, will be taken out on you because you're the willing recipient of it. The transferring of energy, right?
Well, and it's interesting. It makes me really want to do a video on persuasion techniques, because there are so many, and that's definitely actually one of them. Just like people, like, I don't know. I think people have probably heard of this one where there was a woman who was like literally walking around, like I think it was a Walmart parking lot or something, with her kids begging for money to pay for whatever it is, right? But the kids are an image, right? And so the woman can say, I have kids, that's one thing. To have drag these kids around a parking lot, and now you're looking at the kids who are supposedly starving and are not going to have anywhere to sleep tonight unless you give this woman money. That's another thing, right? So those kids are part of the manipulation. And I think, generally, if you've got someone who's willing to use one type of manipulation, they're willing to use them all, right? And I want to be clear on this one, because I don't know. I know we talked a lot mostly about like women, but I don't want to get it twisted here, because I know a lot of men and I'm sorry to say this, but men who have used anger,
Mm-hmm.
um, right, as a manipulation tactic, but they are confusing it. I'm sorry, I know I'm probably going to get some hate on this one, but they're confusing that with masculinity. So they
No, go
think
with it. Yeah.
that anger manipulation is the same thing as masculinity, right? Masculine men get people to do what they want, just by telling them or whatever. So they use this anger manipulation thing, and they think that they're equating the same thing, and it's not. That's not masculinity or manhood, or that's manipulation, and it's manipulation through anger.
Exactly. Like, and you're not saying anything wrong. And with
Hmm.
the elder Joe Coos said, is men are physical, right? And with
Mm-hmm.
that anger comes physical. I'm like, you can be angry and you can actually be abusing someone verbally, and actually the verbal actually cuts, and then the physical actually seals it, right? Like, it's an infection, and then it seals it over, and it becomes something that festers over time. And yes, there are men that do it. I've seen it, I've witnessed it, I've watched it. You know what I'm saying? And on both sides it's not right, and we need to, because the first half of this, we were just, sound like we was beating on the women, you know what I'm saying, which isn't right. And that's why I like to say people in general, humans, like Ruby said, humans will do this,
Mm-hmm.
to each other. Friends will do it to friends, men do it to other men, right?
Yep.
You being in a circle and everybody's joning around, and then one person says something that another guy doesn't like, and he's like, "What are you laughing at?" You know what I'm saying? Like, why you
Mm-hmm.
think this is funny? Like, because he can give those other people a pass because it's funny, but he doesn't like this guy, so he shows his anger. You know what I'm saying, at this person, and then now you're getting two opposing forces of this alpha beta, the leader of the pack thing. Men operate it differently. Women do it in a totally different scenario when it comes to other women, right? Because y'all have your own way of communicating with each other. Men do it in a physical way of putting dominance into play. I done seen men try bully other men, and then when they get around women, they like little sheepdogs. Like, I've seen it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and you meet his wife, and the wife is all nice and quiet, and she is not that way, but she evens him out. But of other men, he's, you know what I'm saying? Like, with the anger thing, right? This
Mm-hmm.
this is a process that it's a taught process, right? You learn this process, and how you deal with the process, you go through it, but you try to figure it out. Like, like the one brother said, like, he was honest with you. He's like, man, I'm just that and the third, right? But we've all been in a situation, not all of us, but quite a majority, where we have actually used this ourselves on people, not
Mm-hmm.
knowing consciously that we were doing it, but
Right.
knowing that it works. Some people, that's their first thing that they grab towards. Some people, it's their last thing, right? It's like
Yeah.
Right.
a reflex to get back your power because you feel as though you're losing ground. Like,
Mm-hmm.
in any interaction with anybody, like a boss at work starts yelling at the employees because upper management then came down on his neck, right? It's done in the military a lot, right? It's
Yeah,
done
and I wanna kind of build on it, brother.
Yeah, go, go, go.
Where's O'Shea?
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I'm building it up. Now, as far as all of us using it at one time or another, true, because we're humans.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us do it. It's a lifestyle, you know. Now, think about it as a relationship. You had dropped off, and so Joe Cool. Um, I'm rotating people in and out the chat. I had wrote in the back. Didn't mean that you have to drop off altogether. Just have to wait for me to rotate you back in. But you're welcome to hit the link and be backstage so I can rotate people in and out. But we all get to know each other in that relationship, right? So she was just talking about the woman. Okay, you guys get to know each other. You get to know each other's buttons. And I'm not
Mm-hmm.
going to just use him, just saying, just in general, just any of us. us. When you're in a relationship, you get to know each other, you know the buttons to push and all of that. And then when you start playing dirty,
Mhm.
that's when it gets out of hand. It's not like, oh, come on, baby, I really want that dress. I know I don't need another dress, but it was so cute and it's on sale. Okay, you do that little thing. He like, okay, girl, I'm gonna give you the money this time. Thank you, daddy. You know, you
Mhm.
got that. And then you also have, oh, so you bought you some Jordans, but so I can't get no dress, right? Okay, bet. Oh, don't touch me and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
So people, like I said, people get to know each other in this relationship and they play dirty. That's the problem that I'm having when you get the anger because you go to work, you do those 40 hours if that's your work week. You don't go off on your boss when he say, "Okay, well, you got to skip lunch today because this client coming in," or "You're gonna have to do this because this didn't happen." You didn't do anything because you're thinking in your mind, "Okay, if I do this, the punishment is." You're thinking, "Oh boy, I ain't gonna do that because the punishment." So you're not that darn angry. And that's another thing. I think of people, they know what they're doing. That's why I always ask questions. Because you can get to the bottom of it. Just start asking them questions. You'll find out.
Mhm.
That's why I said, when I mentioned the first guy that sounded like he poked his lip out. Well, shoot, well, I don't want to, because see, you didn't do, how do I'm like, okay, this is a baby. This is a grown baby. Forget all of this. I'm out of there. I'm not even thinking about the good times we had and how the relationship was and all that. I know I can't deal with this person that tries to manipulate me to do what they want me to do. So I cut my
Mhm.
losses. I don't care how it hurts. Hey, you can cry, get over it. It'll take a little while, maybe, and then some 48 hours, we're back to normal. But whatever the process you need to do that. Don't stick in that relationship. Like DeAndre was mentioning, when you support that BS, you got to take accountability of that. When you smell it, like that stink. Wait a minute, something ain't right here. Investigate, find out what it is. And of course, we all have a tolerance level, but you don't have to go that far in it. You don't have to say something like, wait a minute now. Now I said I don't like to, whatever. I don't want cheese in my eggs. You're just gonna put it in there anyway. Talk
Mhm.
about it, whatever it is. Cut it
Yep.
off right there. Deal with it at that time. Don't let the my food get thrown out. Then you do whatever the next step is. Then you burn my clothes and all. No, so let's start talking about that in the beginning. See if this person has a pattern, got a problem, or whatever it is, so you can make your decision. Oh, okay, I don't want to deal with this type of person. No, this not going to work for me. Oh, this person got a problem. Oh, I'm out of here. Or, oh man, I really care about this person. Let me tell them about some help they can get. 1-800 get your tail some help.
Hmm. Yeah.
Mhm.
That, uh, that's what I'm saying. Like I totally agree with you. And I say this a lot, and I give my wife all the credit in the world because I am a jerk. I am a jerk to the highest order. I have no tolerance for foolery and buffoonery. Like what you did? What? Oh, okay. Hey, I left something in the car. Ain't nothing faster than Pune. Gone. Like you think I had like an instant transmission device in my car or something. I'm out. Like holla. Like, because if you do it to that, in that case of something, because it's usually over something that's petty and small. It's not a big situation when it first roars its ugly head. You know what I mean? When it first comes out, right? And people talk, if you talk it out, like you said, Shar, if you want to get to the bottom of it to see if we can get to another plane with this, that's fine. But that's where people lost the art of conversation. Usually over a cup of coffee and a conversation, you pretty much will know your instincts and your senses and your hair will start tingling. Something ain't right. Something ain't
Yeah,
right there. Mm-mm. And the person might not be nothing wrong with the person. Y'all just might be incompatible. Y'all might not be compatible. It might be something about you that drives that person crazy. That you don't that someone else will love that party. That will just love that party. Some people are just not compatible at all. At all. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
In these situations in life when they cross paths. And this is just not just intimate relationships, it's friendships. I done seen, people that got great intimate relationships and they friends or family done drove them through the ringer. Like sometimes you just got to cut people off. There's 7.1 billion people on the planet. That's a lot of other people you can deal with. I'm just
That's
being real.
right. That's another
Mhm.
thing. Some people are just afraid that, oh, if I let this person go, I can't find nobody else. Why not? All these people. Think about the amount of people in school that when you went to school. Think about all those people, all those different classrooms, all those different subjects. You see them around. You haven't had a conversation with each and every person. That's a lot of people. Okay, college, same thing. A lot of people, a lot of different subjects. Check them out. Okay, let's say you're out of school. Now you're in your 20s. You're in the corporate world if that's what you're doing. That's a lot of people. They all trying to get something, whatever that is. Meet them. Go out. People are out there. Just like you met that person that didn't do right, look crazy, or whatever's going on, you can meet the next one. But don't allow someone to manipulate you just because the other 70% you like of them. If it if
Mhm.
they're doing things and you know it's malicious, you know that. That's not right. That's not a way of living. You really gonna trust that person? You gonna close your eyes on them? You don't know if they gonna be upset with you because you didn't do this, that, and the other. Mm-mm.
Mhm.
You got to
Mhm.
protect yourself. Your body and your things look like.
Right.
Well,
Well, because
I think. Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, 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 go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, but there's actually sort of a problem with us just relying
Hmm.
on 7 billion other people that we could probably run into. The thing is that it still goes back to the whole connection and the vibration of things. So some people have a harder time getting certain frequencies out of their system than others. We talk a lot about the narcissist aspect of things, but we rarely touch on the codependent aspects of things. The,
Mhm.
the the giving part. We deal with the draining all day, but the people who have actually given, the ones who are more prone to giving, they're still suffering. They're still trying to heal. I think one more thing I want to touch on, and I'll let some other people get on here. Um, I think what happened with me and my story, because I don't know how I kind of got down to where I explain my story, but nevertheless, I am a transparent person, as y'all see. But my thing is, what actually happened to me is something deeper. I think really I was put on some type of spell at that time, because I think certain people have that type of hold on you. A lot of times they talk about psychiatric and psychological, but some of them, if you look deeper and you deal with holistic doctors, they'll just say this was actually a pretty much some type of a witchcraft thing that could have went on at the time. Because where I'm going with this is that the betrayal that I experienced at the time, it was really more so I wasn't like, I won't say 100% attracted to this person at first, but I always still had a sense of caring. But then, as time goes on, sometimes things happen to where um, out of the blue, you start feeling a certain way about a person and you didn't realize it. And then, of course, certain acts of betrayal take place. Then you'll have these certain feelings for them you didn't have before. A lot of manipulation is really witchcraft, you know. As it's written, I know some people may not read the Bible, but it does talk about be angry, but sin not. So that means that a person can control their anger. Anger is good if it is properly utilized or applied. If you're not trying to harm another person, as far as this human experience, you have to express all your emotions, but it should be in a very healthy manner. You think of emotions, the E part is actually electric motions. This is all vibrations, every sense of it. But that's pretty much all I had to say, though.
Well, if I could, and I'm really happy you went this way because it all when you think about witchcraft, for example, right? So, and people ask this question, and invariably the answer is normally no. The question is, does witchcraft work if you don't know it's being done to you? The answer is no. And this is why, for example, they leave a sign at your door, on your doorstep, on your bed, something. They leave a sign to let you know that you've been targeted, right?
Yes.
Why? Because you need that psychological manipulation. And then what ends up happening is there's a lot of psychological suggestion that happens. Without that psychological suggestion, it doesn't work. And likewise, what people don't recognize is how deeply you can be manipulated as a person. You really don't recognize it until it's happened to you, right? I can understand why it would feel like a type of witchcraft, because you could find yourself feeling things you never thought you would feel, doing things you
That's
never
what it
thought you'd
was.
do, right? And like literally looking back and being like, who the hell was that? Looking at yourself, right? That
Oh,
manipulation happens in baby steps, and it's literally attacking every aspect of your brain in a way, and manipulating everything. And the way that they get that done is by observing you first. So before they ever come in for the kill, they're observing you. They're observing everything about you. They are learning everything about you. So that way they know what to target, what to tweak, what to move, what's going to work and what doesn't work, right? And of course, when they get in there, they fine tune, but ultimately that's what they're doing. They're making sure they're hitting on all cylinders. And then as they do that, they are in baby steps manipulating you and moving your arms and your legs like a puppet almost, in a way, through psychological manipulation to get what it is that they want and what they need. Anger isn't one of the more tricky ones, right? It's pretty much in your face, right? You fear something, so you don't do things to stop the anger. But the other types of manipulation can be really discreet, really covert, to a point where you can't see them. Sometimes people on the outside can't see it because it's so slick. So manipulation is a really dirty tactic, and that's why advertisers manipulate us, because it works.
Exactly. Like what Ruby, what Ruby said is, yeah, you were in um, that situation. How did I get here? Like, what is going on? Like, I had
yep.
not a
That's what it was.
yeah, it's not a situation like you had. We went to I went to New Caledonia, right? And I was sitting in this restaurant. We were sitting in McDonald's, me and my friend, and I turned around, and it was this lady, right? There was this lady, right? And she walked through the door, right? And she wasn't the prettiest woman that you ever seen, but it was just something about her that made every guy in there look at her, right? Just stare at her, right? I don't know what it was. If she was, anywhere else, she would just be regular, but just average. But she wasn't. There was nothing about her that I could actually tell you to this day that she looked a certain way, right? She just, it's like, I couldn't give you a feature about her that made her, something different. But when she walked up and she talked to me and my friend, and I felt this thing like, I don't know why I want to engage with her, but it was something in the back of my head like, run, get away from her now. Like, I don't know, it was something screaming in me, and I grabbed my homie like, yo, we don't need this McDonald's, man. Let's go, right? And we walked out the door, and then a couple of guys that was off the ship, they walked in, white dudes, they walked in. And she was talking to them, and she just had all of them sitting there, just eating out of her hand. And we was looking through the window, and my homeboy didn't understand when I said that. But when he saw that, he said, bro, I see what you're talking about now. I don't know where my head was at. And there are people that are like that. They have a natural gift, and when you hone that skill of manipulating people, you become very, very dangerous. Look at the president that we got right now. He uses anger manipulation. Look, if you want to know what anger manipulation is, look at our president. Look at him. Just look at him. He got what? Did y'all hear about how the armed protests at the state house in Michigan happened?
No, I didn't hear that one.
Yeah, it was in the news this week where like several like a lot of people with guns, rifles, went to the state house, walked in the state house with guns, screaming, talking about "Let us out. We need this to be over with. This lockdown,
Wow.
right?" And they're in a government building. They bypass security because of that, right? And he insinuated the anger of they're keeping you in the home because of that, right?
Hmm.
Politicians, mobs, right? Like a mob of people, right? A lynch mob or any type of revolution. The Boston Tea Party, that was anger manipulation, right? That was anger
Hmm.
manipulation because the people that was paying the tax wasn't the people, because most of the people that was in the Boston Tea Party throwing stuff overboard weren't the people that were paying the tax, so they didn't own any property.
Okay.
It
I
was
see what you're saying.
Yeah, right. So taxation without representation, right? The people that had to pay were the colonists or the forefathers that signed the Declaration of Independence, or if you're talking about the French Revolution, the people, they had to have a leader, right? Like you look at Germany, right? We're doing in bad straits. This minority class of people that are working and doing whatever they're doing, the reason why you're hungry, the reason why you don't have a job, the reason why you don't have a wealth in your own country, because of those people over there. And
Mm.
they're marching people to gas chambers and taking their stuff.
Wow. Let me welcome music to the panel. Welcome, welcome.
Good evening.
You
Good
know how
evening,
this
ladies and
time
gentlemen.
flies.
Good
How is
evening.
everybody? How is everybody?
Doing great, doing great.
Good,
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 good.
good, good, good. Listen, if I might go back to the beginning a little bit of the show here and talk about the guy that was getting his clothes and stuff ripped up.
Okay.
Tragic.
That sounds familiar.
That's all I can say about that. Again, folks, you I always use this rule, and I would suggest everybody, maybe try it if it works for you. I always use this 30-day rule, especially when it comes to a relationship. You're around somebody for 30 days, and you'll generally find out what type person they are. If they're a manipulative person, you'll find out in 30 days. If they're a nice person, you'll find out in 30 days. If they're a clean person, you'll find out in 30 days. It's hard to hide yourself from someone when you're around them 8, 9, 10, 11 hours a day. And that's usually how it goes, especially when you're first in a relationship. You can't wait to see each other. You can't wait to talk to each other. You can't wait to be around each other when that relationship is brand new. So if you start paying attention from day one, by day 30, you'll know exactly what you're dealing with. In this young fella's case of him having someone tear his clothes up and he was still hanging around, well, he can only blame himself for that. The first time it happened, what made him think it wasn't going to ever happen again? He allowed it to happen over and over because of that, I guess, that so-called word that they call love. And in some dictionaries that's just another four-letter word. It is what it is. you know but on the other side of it, ladies, you know, if we look at it statistically, normally in a relationship when it goes sour, and I hate to say this, I mean, I might get a little flack for it, but it's not the guy that goes up and tears up the clothes. It's not the guy that goes out and smashes the window. It's not the guy that goes and cuts the tires in the car. It's not the guy that takes the car and keys it. It's usually the woman. Every
Yeah.
once in a while, the guy will do it, but 99, almost 80% to 85% of the time, it's the woman that that uh, destroys that property.
Yeah.
And I'll say this, you again, the man, he has to take responsibility in that, because if in a woman's eyes, when she destroys his property, she's understanding that you already showed her in that course of that relationship what the level of importance is. Your car is the most important thing to you, so she's going to destroy that. Your clothes is the most important thing to you, so she's going to destroy that. Your whatever it is that you feel that's near and dear to you, and if she feels that you put that over her, then that's what she's going to destroy. It is what it is.
Hmm. Well, but again, and it comes down to, because men have, I think, a power that they know at any moment they could crush their woman. They could crush her, right? Just because they choose not to doesn't mean they can't, right? Women don't have that power, and we know we don't. You know, even if we want to start throwing hands and stuff like that, we know you're bigger, we know you're stronger, we know you could hurt us, we know you could hold us down. We don't have the same physical prowess and power that you do. We also don't have the same ability, I'm going to say, to emotionally withdraw ourselves the way men can, and emotionally compartmentalize the way men are better at doing. So, there's a lot of, I guess we'll say, powers that when women look at men, they don't have that. So they can't, men can just sit there and emotionally withdraw, and they know that that's hurtful. They know that that's destroying her, but that's why they're doing it, right? They can do things that women don't have the ability to do. She emotionally withdraws. He goes, oh, well, right? It doesn't have the same impact. So, when a woman is feeling hurt and powerless, what does she do? Well, your tangibles matter, right? Your money matters to you. That is the signs of your success that you work for and blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to take that from you because I can't take emotions from you and have it have the same kind of impact. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
can't do that emotional blow or that insult thing, and it's going to have the same impact on you that it does on me. So I'm going to do this thing instead. And, so it's like a tit for tat because generally, right? I mean, no woman's going to sit there and be, even though it doesn't matter how crazy she is, she's not going to be perfectly happy. Nothing went wrong, to her perceived even, and she's just going to cut up your stuff, right? It's a retaliation for something. You
Right.
hurt her, so now she's going to hurt you. And it's like, it would have to be a really big insult in her head and in her heart for her to retaliate in that way. You know what I mean? Like, it's got to be bigger and better. Like, when my friend found out something real grimy, and in all fairness, she wasn't wrong. I'm gonna say that she wasn't wrong, but she knew that this man loved this stupid car. But in her not thinking clearly self, and she's never done anything like this, but in her not thinking clearly self, she had a knife, and she went down to the car and tried to stab the car with a knife. It didn't work. She cut her hand. But the point is, right? She went for the car because she really did. I was like, you tried to stab a car with a kitchen knife? What were you thinking? Um,
Right.
but
Right. See, in a
sorry.
point, Ruby, I'll agree, but and I'll disagree just a little bit because if you notice now, that you see a lot more. And I hate to say this, maybe it's a society thing where maybe back in the days, of course, it was like the woman was, she was supposed to be subservient. You were less than a man, but nowadays, you can click on just about any YouTube videos and type fights in, and 9 times out of 10, it's a woman being aggressive to a male sometime when he sometimes when he tries to walk away from the situation, but she keeps egging and egging and egging till finally when she realizes her insults, as you say, that emotional part of that man is like, that really don't bother me, you can say what you want to. When she realized that doesn't work, a lot of times some women will resort to physicality. In that case, as a man, what do you do? Do you go by the old golden rule that no man is supposed to hit a woman, or do you go by the fight or flight rule? Which one do you choose?
Well, in my opinion, if anyone puts their hands on you, they're inviting you to hit them back. That's always been the rule of thumb.
That,
So if she puts her hands on you, she's inviting you to hit her back. Now, with that being said, whether it's men on men, women on women, men versus women, it doesn't matter to me. If you are the bigger, stronger one, and someone hits you, right? You put them down, you stop them, but you don't beat them half to death. Like that's overkill, right?
right.
But you teach them a little bit of a lesson, right? And humbling themselves. So and the thing is, whether we like it or not, right? There's surveillance cameras everywhere and blah 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 and whatever. And if you are clearly being physically hit first and you hit someone back, you won't actually get charges for that, right? She would be the one who would get charges for assault because it's whoever hits, throws the first punches, right? And that's why I
Right.
say, but you do have to be reasonable with your response because she punched you once in the face. If you beat her half to death, right? Yeah, you're gonna get charges, right? Like
Right.
it's
Yeah,
Right, but see that's the thing though. With any usually in a domestic situation, that it comes with, I would say an assumption. When the police get called out to the house, it's usually assumed that the man is the one is the perpetrator in the domestic violence thing.
Hmm.
hmm
So
yeah.
Unfortunately.
and again, that's what a lot of times is where women will use that. I'll call the police on you, to advantage. And some men will take that as as a direct assault on their freedom.
But it is. But see, this is where again, people, women like that, their first sign that they're like this is not that moment. They've been doing this to you. They've been throwing those threats out at you. They've been playing this game with you, right? And you're
Absolutely.
choosing to overlook it and stay anyway. You're
Uh,
choosing, once everything dies down, for you to stay with that kind of threat to your life, freedom, and well being anyway. And that's where, again, I'm not saying, well, she's not wrong. What I'm saying, though, is why would you continue to put yourself into that kind of risk and danger with the kind of woman who is that kind of vindictive?
and unfortunately, a lot of people do that. Again, my man was saying earlier, and the what you guys were talking about, that everything was good except for that. No, everything was not good.
Mm.
Absolutely not. You was walking around that house on eggshells. When's the next time she gonna explode? What's she gonna explode about? What's she gonna be mad about next? Do I have to go and check my closet every day to see if when she got mad about something, that my clothes ain't cut up? So no, everything was not right in that house.
well,
Absolutely wasn't.
well, the next time, he would have been in them clothes when she bleached him,
Exactly.
hurt him up.
Exactly.
What I'm saying? So it's like it's like a lot of dynamic, um, you know, with this, and it's on both ends of the spectrum. You know what I'm saying? Just in this case, it was a woman. You know what I'm saying? But it's like this dynamic where, um, you know, people can only do what you allow them to do to you, right?
Yeah.
And you, in some case in point, you had to enable it. You know what I'm saying? If you're still in the situation, that it happens, it's not your fault if it happens to you the first time, right? It's
Right.
not your fault, right? No one's saying that, oh,
Right.
you was in that situation. You didn't know, right? Um, but if you are, then it is what it is.
Well, and to be fair, though, right? I feel like, and this is just a feeling again because we don't know, but I feel like for him to have described things the way he did, it is to say that he believes that her being angry at all, like extremely angry in these instances, isn't entirely unreasonable. That is to say, he is doing something that would make anybody very angry at him. Like, for example, he decided to be out until 4 a.m. again, came home with hickeys, stuff like that, right? And then she loses her shit. But when she loses her shit, she doesn't just yell and scream or whatever. She comes home and his shit's cut up this time or whatever it is. It seems to me like probably everything isn't okay, and I do hear, I feel like I hear like a hint of, on both sides things are not okay, right?
Right.
And so it's like, the worst, almost like, okay, so he did something wrong, she reacted badly, so because she reacted that badly, he said, you know what, well, if you're going to treat me that way and you're going to go that extreme, well, I'm going to actually act really bad. And then he took it a step further, and then so she went a step further, and so we're at this place where in the middle, when no one's acting out, things are good. But the problem is you still got all of this stuff, unresolved and unsaid, and people acting out. And I think that, there's probably a good chance he's acting out as well, just in different ways.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Again, like you guys were saying earlier, some people stay in a relationship just because sometimes they feel they can't find somebody else that's compatible. They're afraid of I guess the unknown of being single again, or some people are actually afraid to leave a relationship because they have been threatened so much that what if he finds me somewhere? So there's no sense in me running. But again, all that builds up. These are things that just don't happen overnight. Someone just doesn't start cutting up your clothes overnight. Something had to happen to precipitate this, for it to go this far, for it to go this far. So you're absolutely right, Ruby. He's probably not given the whole scenario of what it is, and that's what usually people do. They give you there's two sides of the story, and usually when they're reporting it, it's usually the story is usually in their favor.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. And we always have, I'm real, um, for anonymity purposes, um, I understand a lot of people may not want to come forward, but that is the desire that I like to have with the channel is to have someone to have a one-on-one and give advice to. I would like to have that. I would start the show where I would just be me and that person speaking, and then
Hmm.
I would add other people on. So it would be a collective of giving advice, just like we're doing now with the letter. Time is flying, and I would like to go ahead and greet BMT with his new call letters. And so everyone that didn't get a chance to speak, go ahead and get them in. Are
Oh
you?
well,
Hey, BMT,
hey,
WVN. Sorry.
BMT,
hey, what's going on? What's going on?
been a while. How you doing, young warrior?
Oh, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Um, I know one day we got to set up to sit down one time. You're always welcome to come through.
All right.
So DeAndre, always good to talk to you. Char, I always see you in the chat. Ruby, I think we talked to you about like just yesterday.
Yeah, it
Um,
was yesterday.
and now this is a good talk. Domestic violence is that's a really big issue in a lot of cases. We I when I hear a lot of when I and I've heard my fair share of issues going on in throughout social media, and we got to always understand from the time since I've been doing investigative reports and soldiers and different things like that. There's always his story, her story, and the truth, and it's kind of hard. That's why
True.
sometimes I take things for a grain. I look at things and I always take a step back because I always are like, well, the other person's not here, so we don't get to hear the other story. You know what I'm saying? So,
Hmm.
but I don't judge. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't because I hate when I hear some people. Well, why didn't you just leave? Well, things don't just work like that. You got kids. You can't just mom. Kids go to school and then and there's been stories of child came back like where mom went or where daddy went. They just disappeared. You know what I'm saying? So some parents think like that. Like I'm not gonna leave my kid. I can't just walk out on what I built for many years. Or there's a lot of things that come into factor where some people grow numb to the abuse or the treatments, and they're like, you know what, this is normal. It is what it is. This is that struggle, tough love, that Mary J. Blige, Tyrese type of stuff that we, you know, and it's not just a. I hate that we make it and we keep saying that this is a black culture thing. That's a very bad stigma that we like to put on our said relationships. That I never liked that. That people always say that that's our people thing. No, that's just people thing. That's not a stuck to one race. Everybody has their set issues, but
True.
we like to propagate that narrative in certain spaces that only our people do it the most. I'm like, okay, please stop with the narrative. I get it. We got the Tyler Perry movie, but come on now, let's be real. Go to a functional house. Certain people don't even tolerate that. I know some people some certain men and women, they have quiet time where they literally sit down and they talk. Like, okay, let's just talk it out. I don't get like that no more. Like literally, I'm like, okay, we'll come back at this situation at another time. But that took time. You know what I'm saying? That took time in measures of grains, and a lot of people don't know how to properly measure it out. And I applaud you, Char, on opening up a panel for that, for people to come on. I think the problem that's hard to do that is that whenever people who have tried that before, there's usually a bunch of people that will start to attack the person. You understand what I'm saying? And they'll be like,
Unfortunate, very
right.
unfortunate.
Mhm.
So that kind of hinders other people. And I know you're very neutral as well as Ruby are y'all are very neutral people. So, that's why I'd be like, when you see spaces where they talking about submission and different other things like that, that person's like, yo, this is what I'm trying to get away from. Like, why? What the hell? Like, nobody should have to be like somebody's under footstool. That's not love. That's not care. That's just some type
Mhm.
of infatuation of abuse. And I'm sorry, I don't care what you say, but it is. But I don't have to talk down on my spouse to make them feel wanted and loved. Like that I don't understand that. Why who would want to be like that? So sooner or later, the slave is going to lash out at the master. That always happens. So then we hear these stories. I can't believe she did that. I can't believe he did that, because you kept on pushing people to a certain breaking point. I didn't mean to be long winded, but I see these happen quite a lot, and people do want to get the help. They want to be able to sit down with people and say, "Hey, I just want to be able to talk to people that can give me the courage to get out." But I don't want to be talked down on, like, what I'm saying. I've seen that happen more times than I could count, and I'd be like, we just lost another one, because I think we had it like my second year, and I'm not saying the channel, but I had a girl. She emailed me, and she said she was trying to figure out. We got her the help that we needed to help her get out of her said situation, as well as we worked with law enforcement authorities. However, one of the channels said the best way to check your woman, got to go upside her head. The male beat her for 2 hours straight. She only had enough time to take her child and throw her child throughout the trailer window to run to the grandma's house. By the time they got there, two ribs cracked, busted eye socket. She was in the ICU for at least about 5 months. They were trying to
Wow.
fix it. But see, of course, when you got to be careful of what you, and this is why we be telling people, like, do y'all understand, like, a lot of these impressionable mindsets that y'all telling people, some of these people take it at face value and run with it. Like, they literally believe this stuff. So you empower that type of indoctrination of thinking, and there's consequences for these type of talk. So when women or men hear it, there's going to be a reactor. There's going to be a reaction in certain set spaces, and they're going to reapply it. So, what I'm saying. Luckily, the girl, she's no longer there, and the SOB, he's in prison. Well, he already had issues. But one thing that they probably will say about that female: why did you choose that type of black man? Why? What did you do? And I'll be like, see, now you're saying
Yeah,
you.
I don't. Yeah, I don't. Thank you for the compliment, and I find those type of conversations they don't go anywhere. So
Yes,
that will not be happening on my channel. Um, I'm about solutions, and that's it. I don't have to judge you and say, well, you should have did this, you should have did that. I give you some options. I tell you my experience. I ask other people to give theirs. We close this down and we come back the next week. That's
Mhm.
all. That's what's going on over here. So it is just about that time to shut down. And I want to thank you for coming over. I
always.
notice when you come over, it's normally kind of late when you peep in. So maybe that's just the time you have, but you're welcome to come earlier and join in conversation anytime you like. I appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am.
And DeAndre and Ruby, thank you so much as always. I appreciate you guys' wisdom.
Oh, it's always a pleasure, especially when I always get such a warm greeting when I arrive.
And thank you, everyone in the chat room. I appreciate your support. If your like button is still gray, that means you need to hit it and turn it blue. I appreciate it. That'll be more support. Thank you for your watch time, your conversation. You guys are awesome in the chat room. I was reading it. I was on and off
Yeah.
reading. It was kind of busy, but I was reading it. And I'm gonna have to use that as a quote. What DJ Snoopy said. I can't think of it right now, but I'm gonna go back and have to use that as a quote. He was on fire.
Mm, mm.
So as far as tomorrow, I know I have a lot of people to support tomorrow. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna do a reaction to articles. But if I do, it'll be after 5 and before 8. As much I can tell you.
All
But
right.
if you see me, you see me. I'll post it early so you will see it in your timeline. But if not, I will see you all next week. And thank you again for all your support in the chat room and those who donated to the channel. Appreciate you guys. And until then, peace.
All right. Cheers.